there is something typical for each writer. The way he perceives himself, the way he himself views his work. What is typical for you?
I don't think there's anything that's typical for me. I write about all kinds of things. I'm interested in all kinds of people. If you were to follow me around for a month, you would not see a typical day. I really live a very large variety of life. If you ask me what do I eat, I would say I'm an omnivore. I eat everything.
Okay. Somebody walks on the beach before writing. Somebody has to read newspapers. Do you also practice any ritual before you start writing? At what part of the day do you usually write?
Well, I think of writing as something that's going on all the time, sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously. But I'm writing right now as we are speaking. In the back of my mind, ideas have been churning around all day long. So if you ask me what time of day do I write, I would say 24 hours a day. Awake, asleep, it's always going on. There are different stages of it. Sometimes I tell stories to people. Sometimes I write some notes. I use all the tools you would... It's like saying, how do you build a house? Well, you need a lot of different kinds of tools. So I use them all. The last thing I do is to go to a computer. But that's a tool.
It's not typing.
No, it's not typing. It's living. First you live, then you write.
You're said to be a man of many professions, and it is true that only a few people can pride themselves on so many miscellaneous occupations. Which of them do you recall most often and why?
Well, you could say that I'm unable to hold a job very long. That would be another way of looking at my life. But I've always thrown myself into what I'm doing at the time, and I'm not afraid to have different jobs at different times. So I've never thought of myself as having being a writer as a job. Writing is a function of the life I have lived. So I've taught drawing and painting and art history at the same time that I was working in civil rights in the South. So these are all, I want to be as large and as broad a human being as I can be, and out of that comes writing.
Okay. Are some of the characters and situations in your books based on real life? Are you the writer who gets inspired by real situations, or are you inspired only partly, and is the fantasy and fiction that wins?
Well, I don't separate life between fact and fiction. I know the publishers do, the legal officers do, but I think life is always a mix for everybody of what you imagine, what you hope, what you believe, what you saw. It's like the testimony of many witnesses. So that I laugh and people say, well, you write nonfiction or you write fiction. I say, no, it's all mixed up together. I never tell lies, and if I'm making something up completely, I say, this is something I'm making up. Most of what I write has its roots in real life.
We are a bookshop. First we would like to know what is your best book ever, and which book you have considered interesting recently. Can you let us in on that?
Well, I don't think of any one of my books as my best book ever. I'm clearly invested in the book I have going on at the same time. My big novel, Third Wish, took more of my life energy than anything else I've done. And my most recent book was unique in that all the stories were picked by a Czech editor for a Czech audience, and it was translated by his totally Czech book. And it seemed to be fine. They picked the title, they picked this illustrator, everything. So there's a big difference between them. Both were a great deal of pleasure. Now I have a new book I'm writing for next fall. I have a project I don't know whether I can pull off, but I sometimes say, if you want to know whether I understand Czechs, I say I'm the grandson of Jara Zimmerman. And you go, oh, okay, then you get us. And so I want to talk to Svirek and see if he and I could do something that would involve he telling the stories of Jara Zimmerman in the United States, because I realize he doesn't know all those stories.
Of course.
So who knows? He's very busy.
What did you tell about the Jara?
Well, the father of Jara Zimmerman, Svirek, and he is very busy and very, we'll see. But if he would be willing to do it, I could do it. Yeah.
The Melting Pot Forum is part of the Colors of Ostrava Festival, as I told you. So, do you have any favorite band here, or do you listen to pop music?
Well, I love all kinds of music, but because of my schedule as part of the program, I haven't had a chance to listen to any band, any music, and I think next year I'm going to come as a private citizen and say, no, I want to hear the music, and don't use me. So I would love to come back and just be here as a private citizen.
Great.
especially when it's not raining.
Oh yeah, Mr. Fulghumem, thank you very much for this interview. It was
Thank you
a pleasure
for good
for me.
questions.